Hey guys, and welcome back to our journey in Fire Ash. We have finally arrived in Alola, and at this nice and tropical place we will capture a lot of new Pokemon. So let's start our tropical adventure in the new region. After we took the blimp in Viridian City, we arrived at Alola's Route 1. Before we speak with anyone here, we get ourselves the first Alola Pokemon in the high grass, them being Pikipek, Alolan Executor, Grubbin, Beware, Sandygast, and when fishing, Pyukumuku, Wishy-Washy, Bruxish, and Dewpider. We do what every kid wants to do in the holidays, going to school, and we run into Team Skull for the first time. After we beat them, we enter Alola Trainer School. I delivered the egg to Oak's cousin Samson, and he suggested that I participate in the school, and so we do. After we asked Mom, of course. Samson told us that Professor Kukui offers us a home while we are here, and so we return back to Route 1 and speak with him. Here we also get ourselves the Rotom Dex. I cannot tell you how much I hated that thing back in actual Gen 7. In front of the school there's Tapu Koko, and we obtain the Z-Ring from it. Inside of the school, on our first day, Kukui suggests that we check out the nearby Melee forest. We do exactly that and enter the forest, where we run into Ash's Rowlet, our first starter of the region, and also one of my favorites. Apart from Rowlet, there's of course a bunch of new Pokemon we can get here as well, like Bonesweet, Morlul, Drumbeak, Shiinotic, Mimikyu, and Drampa. While searching for the rest of the Pokemon, I encountered my second shiny of the game, a shiny Grubbin. After I caught it, I searched the area for some more Pokemon, and got Oranguru and 2 Cannon. That's it for the Melee forest, and so I made my way back to the school where I battled Lana. Kukui explained us the power of the Z-Rings, and that's it for our first day in the Alola region. On our second day, the roadblock to Hau'oli City is gone, and so I entered the city and explored the boundaries a bit. I was able to enter Route 2 early and caught an Alola Rattata, Rimpot, Charjabug, and a special Pichu here, and while fishing, Marini, and Delamisi. To understand why I captured another Pichu here, I need to tell you how the game handles some dex entries. As you remember, we got Pikachu, Pichu, and Raichu before. Since there's an Alola Raichu, and because how this engine works, we will get 3 new Pokemon entries for Pichu, Pikachu, and Alolan Raichu, if we evolve that line in Alola. And the same with Cubone, Grimer, etc. Also, you cannot bring a Pikachu you captured in Kanto and bring it to Alola to evolve. You have to capture one in Alola to work. Lycanroc's forms also have distinct Pokemon entries, so keep that in mind when looking at the Pokedex number. With that out of the way, I went back to the city and Lana transported us to Hau'oli outskirts on her Lapras. Before doing our daily task here, I got a regional Cubone and a female Salandit while being here. At a small lake, an iconic Popplio joined up the team, making it our second starter of the region. We fight a Gyarados at the lake and have a fight with Lana afterwards, before returning home. The next day, while exploring the region a bit more, I ran into Team Rocket at the Hau'oli shopping mall. And after dealing with them yet another time, Sophocles showed me a little secret area, where we fight the trainers and him. One day later at the school, Professor Kukui tells us about the Alola forms and Pokemon eggs, and soon afterwards we make our way to Lily's place. After a short battle, we return home to go to sleep once more. We wake up the next day and Kukui tells us that the bridge behind the school is finally repaired, so a new area opens up for us. I crossed the bridge and found myself on Route 3. I wasted no time and added Alolan Diglett, Persimmon, Alolan Meowth, Cutiefly, Mudbray, Alola Raticate, and Ribombee here, before I made my way north to Iki Town. Hala tells us about the trial challenge, and because this time it seems like something Ash could win, we agree to participate. We make our way to Verdant Cavern, which now opened at Route 2, and caught a Yangoose here. I decided that this will be the end of the section here, so I have to evolve and breed what I got so far, before starting this trial. I do, and went back to Kanto for yet another section of Ho-Oh XP grinding. This is when I found out that with Rotom you cannot ride a bike anymore. God damn it, Rotom. Which is kinda ironic with Gala's Rotom bike. So, now that we have to walk to encounter Ho-Ohs, which took a little bit longer, I evolved my shiny Grubbin into Charjabug, and into Vikavolt with a Thunderstone. Dewpider evolved into a Rockrunnit, Bounce Speed into Steenie and into Tsarina, after leveling up while knowing Stomp. Alola Diglett evolved into Dugtrio, Yungoos into Gumshoes, Mudbray into Mudsdale, Wimpod into Golisipod, and our regional Cubone into Alola Marowak. At this time, while grinding for more EXP, I ran into a shiny Ho-Oh actually, which was extremely awesome, considering how many I fought along the way. I got myself a new Ho-Oh in one of my Master Balls, called it Legend, and retired my old Ho-Oh. With a brand new shiny Ho-Oh on my team, I evolved the rest of the Pokemon I got, turning Marini into Toxapex at level 38, our female Salandit into Salazzle, Poplio into Brionne and into Primarina at level 34, Rowlet into Dartrix and into Decidueye, our Pichu with enough happiness into Pikachu, and finally into Alola Raichu, Alolan Meowth into Persian, and Sandygast into Palossand at level 42. Apart from that, I bred Beware to get a Stuffle, and our Alolan Executor to get a regional Execute, which also counts as a dex entry. With now 777 Pokemon, I started my trial in Verdant Cavern, and fought the Totem Gumshoes, resulting in me getting a Normalium Z. I returned back to Hala and fought him, beating my first trial of the region. As a little reward, he gifts me the Electrium Z. Since we don't get any gym badges here with the trials, I won't count them to the badge total. That's it for this day, so we return home and wake up on the next morning. Kukui offers us to take Rockruff with us, and so we take it. Just outside of the school, Kiawe offers us to take us to a new location, Akala Island. Arriving there, I made my way to the Paniola Ranch. While making my way to the next goal of the day, I caught an Alolan Geodude. Afterwards, I had a battle with Kiawe. The next day on Route 3, I ran into Mallow and into Team Rocket again in the meadow. After dealing with them, I caught an Oricoro and made my way back home. Before we go to bed for the day, Kukui said that there's a Litten nearby, which seems to need a cheer up. So, back in Hau'oli City, we find the Litten and of course, we take it with us. The next day, we have a little battle with Glaceon at Lily's place. And soon after, we go back to Akala Island for our next trial. On Akala Island, there's now Route 5, which is accessible to us. I caught a Crab Brawler here and explored routes 8 and 7. Here I found a Bugnium Z before we started our next trial. I bred Rockruff to get 2 more of them, and evolved one at level 25 to get its Dusk form. Litten into Torracat and into Incineroar, Geodude into Graveler and into Alola Golem at level 35, and my other 2 Rockruffs with high enough friendship during night and day to get the other 2 forms. Back on Akala Island I started a trial, and after defeating Lana I made my way to the now open Wheeler Volcano Park. I battled Kiawe here and soon after entered Lush Jungle. After a battle with Mallow here, we can now face the Totem Pokemon, but while in the area I caught a Formantis and a Lurantis here, and after defeating the Totem Lurantis we get the Gracium Z. And now all what is left to do is to challenge the Island Kahuna. We enter the Ruins of Life south of the Paniola Ranch and caught our first Island Guardian here, Tapu Lele. After we catch it, we can now challenge Olivia. With her defeated, we finished our second trial of Alola, and we get gifted a Rockium Z for that. A couple of days later, back in school, Professor Kukui tells us about Mega Evolution and Cantonian forms. For a little field trip, we go back to Pallet Town with the class, where of course we are interrupted by Team Rocket. We blast them to the stars and have a little fight with our old pals Brock and Misty in Oak's Coral. After our battles, we return back to Alola and go to bed. The next day we enter Mele Mele Forest again, where we take a lost Cosmog with us. but only as a follower for now. We take Cosmog to Lily's place and of course give it its proper name, Nebby. One day later at school, we meet up with Lusamine for the first time. For another field trip, we visit the Aether Paradise, and so we take the boat in Hau'oli City to get there. Outside of the Aether Paradise, I used my chance to add a Comfrey to my dex total, and afterwards I entered the building. Inside we find a type Null, which we take with us, and yet another Master Ball. That's it for today, so we head back home for now. At the next morning, we just spoke with Kukui when Cosmog decides to teleport us to an unknown place. We find a fight near Z here and have a little chat with Gladion, before he takes us back to Route 1. Sometime later we take the boat to the Aether Paradise again, where Faber steals Cosmog from us. Of course we immediately rush into the building, only to find out that he was able to summon an Ultra Beast. To save Lusamine we capture the beast Nihilego, but it's too late, and Lusamine vanishes into the Ultra Space. Gladion suggests that we go to Pony Island, and so we take the boat there immediately. Lusamine can wait a tiny bit longer, since there's a couple of new Pokemon to get here, like Jangmo-o, Hakamo-o, and Como-o. We grab the Dragonium Z and enter the Altar of the Sun. There we grab the Pikachnium Z and find out that Nebby evolved into Solgaleo. It gives us the Solganium Z and offers us to take us to the Ultra Space, where Lily's and Gladion's mom is. After we arrived at the Ultra Deep Space, we find Lusamine being controlled by Nihilego. After we defeated her in a battle, she's free again and we all head home. Before we get to bed now though, I returned back to the Altar of the Sun and took Solgaleo with me, now willing to join the team. The next day at school, Kukui suggests a field trip to the Lanakila mountain. We take the boat once more and arrive in the area. Here I caught a Vulpix, Crabominable, and a Sandshrew. Also we find an Icium Z here. After a short battle with Lily and her Snowy, I returned back to Hau'oli City. On my way back I noticed a Pokeball next to the Poke Center, and it had a Machado inside. I did a quick detour to Sunyshore in Sinnoh, where I bought 2 Ice Stones. I used them immediately to evolve Sandshrew into Sandslash and Vulpix into Ninetales. Back at school we get told that Ultra Beasts started to show up in Alola. We can also now buy Beast Balls too, so I grabbed 100 or so and began my hunt. At the Mele Meadow I found and captured Buzzwole. I took the Charizard Express to Akala once more and made my way to the Royal Avenue. Here we can find Alola's Game Corner, and with it some more Pokemon. Inside of the Game Corner I bought an Alolan Grimer, Turtonator and Komala. Because we are here anyway and it was a daily task, I entered the Battle Royale Dome and fought the Masked Royal and Sophocles. When I wanted to make my way back to Route 1, I realized the route was full of Team Skull Grunts, and fighting my way through them I eventually arrived at the school again, where Grunts tried to take Ilima hostage. I saved him and get the EVMZ for my efforts. The next day Rotom tells me that an Ultra Beast appeared inside of the school, and so we investigate. Being there I found a lost Poipole, which of course we take with us. Also on Route 3 the next Ultra Beast appeared, Celesteela. After catching it we end the day and go to bed. The next morning Kukui suggests us that we should do our next trial, and so we take the boat to the Tapu village. Nanu on the other hand isn't really in the mood for a challenger, so after a quick battle with him he sends us to do some tasks before we can do the real match. North of the city is a desert, and we have to cross it to reach the Ruins of Abundance. On my way I grabbed the Alola Z and arrived at the ruins soon after. The next Island Guardian is here, and so we need to face it. Doing so, and after a lot of level balls, I was able to get Tapu Bulu. We return back to Nanu, but he still don't want to rematch, so he sends us yet again on a mission, south of the city. There we run into Team Rocket again, in an old warehouse. We deal with them, and now Nanu is ready to face us again. Before doing that though, I do a quick detour to the Aether Foundation, to trade a Pichu for Togedemaru. In Blackthorn City in Johto, I visited the Move Learner, and in return for a Heart Scale, I taught Poipole Dragon Pulse. And leveling it up, it evolved into Naganadel. My Alolan Grimer I evolved into a Muk and type Null into Silvally with enough happiness. I returned back to Nanu and beat my third island challenge, earning myself the Lucanium Z. We head back home again to go to bed. The next morning Kukui tells us about 2 more Ultra Beasts, this time on Route 2. We go there and capture Circuitry and Blacephalon. Back in school we do yet another field trip to Mount Lanakila, and so I entered Mount Lanakila Cave and found a Ghostium Z here. I exited the cave and now found myself at Mount Hokulani. I caught a Minior here and met up with the rest of the group. The next day I entered Haoli City once more, where, in an abandoned house, I found a Cosmog. Since it was high leveled, I immediately evolved it into a Cosmoem. And soon after I ran into Team Skull once more again, this time trying to take hostage Mina. After dealing with that, back in front of the school, we meet the next Ultra Beast, Stakataka. I woke up the next morning, but something seemed a bit off. Kukui and all the adults seemed to be a bit tired, and so I made my way to the school alone. Something seems to be off at the Altar of the Sun, and so we make our way back there. The area is overrun by Team Rocket Grunts, and so we fight our way to the altar. Arriving there, I grab the Lunalium Z and find and capture the second box art Pokemon of Generation 7, Lunala. After catching it, Lunala takes us to the Ultra Space again, where we find and capture Necrozma. That seemed to have solved the problem, and so we end our day here. Sometime later the Rotom Dex tells us to go for a walk in the Melee Forest. And there we meet up with our rival from the games, How. We battle him and exit the forest back to Route 1, where another Tapu appeared. This time it's Tapu Koko itself. We capture it, but the Tapu teleports us to another world. A trainer here tells us about the Guzzlord problem, and we gladly resolve it by catching the perpetrator. Doing so results in us being sent back to Route 1 again. Back at the school, Kukui has a little surprise for us, and we meet Misty here. And Brock too, at the local Pokemon Center, where Nurse Joy is. Of course. One day later and everyone gets his and her tasks for the day. Ours is to continue our island challenge, and so we take the boat to Pony Island. We arrive at the Seafolk village, where I grab the Waterium Z. Afterwards I enter the Pony Wilds and the ancient Pony Path, where I run into Team Skull once more, and Hapu afterwards. She can't help us yet, and so we return back to the Seafolk village and meet up with Lily. Back at the ancient Pony Path, after defeating Gladion, we can now take the boat to the vast Pony Canyon. Sophocles tells us to meet up with Lana at the Pony Wilds beach, and so we head back there. At the beach, before speaking with her though, we fish at the beachside and get ourselves a Melton. Having Melton holding a rare candy and evolving it results in us getting a Mel Medal. After our battle with Lana, we are now finally able to enter the Ruins of Hope, where we find the last Tapu, Tapu Fini, for us to catch. I grabbed the Flynium Z while being here and entered the actual ruins to have a fight with Hapu, this time fighting her as an island kahuna. With her defeated, I got the Steelium Z, and now with 829 Pokemon, I finished the last trial of the region. Kukui congratulates us, and the next day at school we find an iconic Melton which wants to join us. We wanted to exit the school, but the Rotom Dex heard something, and so we turn around and find Team Rocket yet another time, with James crying about his bottle cap collection. We defeat them and get notified about another Ultra Beast appearing on Route 3. This time it's Pheromosa. We capture it and also, when going back home, find a Zeraora just outside of Route 3 in a Pokeball. In front of the school, there's a little scene between Guzma and Kukui about their history together. And Guzma challenges us to a fight. We defeat the Team Skull boss and made our way back home. The next morning at school yet again, Kukui suggests us that we head for Melee City. We take the boat to the Tapu village and head east onto Route 12. I grabbed the Psychium Z and Marshadium Z here and entered Melee City. Here I found the Darknium Z crystal and also the local gym, the first gym of the Alola region. Because we have to continue the story, I faced the new gym leader, Ryuki, and defeated him in a battle. Defeating him results in us getting the so-called Cantonian badge. It's not an official badge by any means, but you know what, I count it. The same as the Orange Islands badges. With me now having 47 badges and 829 Pokemon, there's only one more thing to do here. But before we take on the league, there's yet another Ultra Beast sighting, this time in Hau'oli City. We go there and capture Katana. After doing that, at Lily's place, we find Margiana in a Pokeball. Sometime later at school, again Kukui tells us that the league is now finally finished. And so we can head there. We take the boat and enter Manalo Stadium. It's unfortunately overrun by Team Skullgrunts, rooting for Guzma. But taking care of them was no big deal at all. We enter the league and register for it. The Alola League is a tiny bit different than the ones we faced before. And so we enter and select the path we want to go. I chose the right path and battled through a couple of trainers. Doing so placed us top 16 already, but we are far from being done yet. We battle Faber afterwards, then Hau and Guzma. And after defeating all of them, we are in the finals, where we have to face Gladion and his team. With my team we were able to defeat Silvally, Lycanroc and Zoroark with ease. And with that we finally did it. We, as Ash, won an official league for the first time, apart from the Orange Islands filler. Wow, what a journey. And I can tell you, this feels very earned. Anyways, I entered the Hall of Fame, but the party mood is only short-lived, as a bunch of Guzzlords invaded the league. We soon find the leader, a shiny Guzzlord, and capture it for our ever-growing shiny collection Pokemon. After doing that, Kukui wants to have a final exhibition battle with me. And I gladly accepted this challenge. After defeating Kukui, all of our Alola friends congratulate us for becoming the champion of the region. And with that, our tropical vacation time in the Alola region is almost over. We go back to school for a last time, where the others talk about their future plans. And we have a last battle against Kiawe. I returned back to Pallet Town, where all began, and took a look at the complete pokedex, with now 833 Pokemon registered, and having almost 130 hours in-game time. As you can see, we got every single Pokemon in the pokedex. From Kanto, to Johto, to Hoenn and Sinnoh, Unova, Kalos, and finally Alola. There's one last thing we can do, going back and talk with Professor Oak. He tells us that he's truly proud of what we have accomplished throughout our journey, and even though he won't rate our Pokedex, hearing from Professor Oak that he's proud of us was worth all of the journey. And with that, we finished Fire Ash. Thank you so much for being along my side on this incredible journey. It was such a cool and new experience. And even if it was a bit tedious at times, it was never boring, honestly. We captured 5 shinies on this trip and caught 833 Pokemon in total. I got 47 badges, from which 42 were officially counted by the game. They don't count the Orange Islands for some reason, but well, yeah. This challenge took me from January to March in 2021, and cutting 150 hours of video material was quite a task. At this point, I wanted to thank every single of my viewers for watching my videos. You guys are the biggest motivation for me, and I love doing those videos. I also want to thank the complete team of mods and developers of Fire Ash. There's so much heart blood in the game, and if you love the games and the anime, you should definitely check it out. I put a link to their Discord in the description. Also, big thanks to the whole Professor Oak Challenge community. You guys are amazing, and keep the challenge alive. At last, big thanks to my girlfriend Evil Carrot Sauce for supporting me this much as well. She also gives me the motivation to do those videos every single day. Thanks a lot, love. Well, I guess that's it for this adventure. I'm a bit sad to end this one, but even more excited for the next one. I hope I see you in the next video. Until then, see ya!